Buckle up, because the Cleveland Browns are facing a full-blown quarterback crisis, and it has nothing to do with XS and OS anymore. This isn't about schemes or snap counts. This is about leadership, accountability, and a fan base that's just about ready to storm the gates. Because here's the truth. Shedeur Sanders is rising, Dillon Gabriel is unraveling, and Kevin Stfansky, he's got a decision to make. And no more room to hide. Let's break it down. The calm before the media storm. It started innocently enough. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Just a normal preseason competition. 2 rookies, 2 stories, 1 starting spot. Gabriel, the more traditional pick. Steady, safe, predictable. Shedeur, the high-profile wild card. Charismatic, calculated, and dangerously composed. But what no one expected was how fast the narrative would flip. Because Shedeur didn't just show up to compete. He showed up to command. In his first preseason appearance, cool as ice. Pocket presence like he was born in it. Threw crisp, clean balls. Ran the offense like a coordinator in cleats. You could almost hear the fans in the stands lean forward after every snap. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel fumbled, literally and metaphorically. A botched exchange on a key red zone drive. Happy feet in the pocket. And then the kicker, the post-game presser. Oh boy, Gabriel's comment that broke the internet. Dillon Gabriel, when asked about the brewing quarterback controversy, said something that might go down in Browns history. We're not out here competing for entertainment. Simple words. But the context? Oh, it was nuclear. To fans, to media, and to analysts with working memory. That wasn't just a comment. That was a thinly veiled jab at Shedeur, the guy who brings the cameras, who draws a crowd, who's already being called the face of the franchise before he's even started a game. And it hit hard. Within minutes, NFL Twitter lit up like Times Square. Shannon Sharp dragged him. Chris Canny called it the kind of insecure energy that gets you benched. Local reporters flooded pressers with questions. And fans? Oh! The fans made it personal. Because they've been waiting decades for a quarterback who can lead with both talent and presence. Someone who wants the spotlight and knows what to do with it. And when you imply that entertainment is a bad thing, you're not insulting Shedeur. You're insulting the entire city. Shedeur's silence was louder than words. Now here's where things got icy. Shedeur didn't respond. No snarky tweets. No passive-aggressive reposts. No podcast shade. Just complete, calculated silence. He let the tape speak. He let Gabriel implode. And that is what set the tone. Because in today's NFL, silence isn't passive. It's powerful. And Shedeur wielded it like a veteran politician in a press scandal. His next practice? Lights out. Audible control. Tempo mastery. Chemistry with receivers. Reporters on the sideline said the entire offense felt sharper when he took over. Gabriel? Not so much. Dropped shoulders. Tentative throws. And worst of all, that look. That, I know the spotlight's drifting, look. Stfansky's masterclass in indecision. So now the Browns are sitting on a quarterback drama hotter than any in the league. And what does Kevin Stfansky do? He holds the line. We're evaluating everything. No decision yet. Sir, with all due respect, what are you watching? Because the fans? They've seen enough. They watched Shedeur carry himself like a franchise quarterback in practice more than some veterans do in Week 10. They've seen Gabriel shrink under pressure, misstep in the media, and now play second fiddle in his own supposed battle. And when your head coach can't make the call, that's not strategy. That's fear. Fear of media backlash. Fear of getting it wrong. Fear of what it means to anoint the guy who wasn't supposed to rise this fast. But here's the twist. Not choosing is already a choice. And it's the wrong one. The fan base revolts. It started slow. A few Reddit threads. A handful of ex-posts. Some polite calls to radio shows. Then came the signs of practice. Let Shedeur cook. QB1 has a beard. Not competing for entertainment? We are. The message is clear. Cleveland wants Shedeur. Not in November. Not if things go south. not as a last resort. Now, because fans don't just love him for the arm talent. They love him for the aura, for the way he speaks, for how he gets it, how he respects the moment without being swallowed by it. They see him as a guy who finally ends a cycle, and you can't bottle that kind of belief. The deeper divide, old school versus new age, at the heart of this mess, a cultural war. Gabriel represents the safe path, the conventional mold, the lunch pail, no headlines quarterback prototype. Shedeur, he's new school, player first, camera ready, modern as hell. And that terrifies people who still think leadership only comes from quiet. But guess what? The modern NFL doesn't run on humility alone. It runs on energy, on swagger, on magnetism. Your QB has to lead not just a team, but the narrative. And Shedeur, he's not just ready for it. He's built for it. Gabriel, he's rejecting it, pushing it away. Acting like playing in the NFL is a silent retreat. And that's not going to fly. Not in 2025. Not in Cleveland. This is bigger than stats. Let's be clear. This battle stopped being about completion percentages a long time ago. This is about identity, about trust, about who could be the face of this franchise through wins and chaos. And when fans look at Shedeur, they see someone who never blinks. They see Colorado comebacks. They see Deion DNA. They see that intangible fire you can't teach. When they look at Gabriel, they see someone who blinked in the first real moment of pressure. And the scars of that fumble and that quote might follow him out of the building. The clock is ticking. If Kevin Stfansky doesn't act fast, this story only gets uglier. Because once a quarterback loses a fan base, the team feels it. And once the team feels it, it bleeds into games, into locker room culture, into losses. You can't ask grown men to follow someone they don't believe in. And every snap Gabriel takes from here on out will feel like a dare to the fans, a dare to the media, a dare to Shedeur. And one bad quarter, one pick six or missed throw could be the tipping point. Because once this train starts moving, you don't slow it down. You ride it or get run over. Here's the real kicker. The battle? It's over. The fans chose. The locker room's leaning. The analysts flipped. Shedeur didn't win the job by shouting or showboating. He won it by being everything Dillon Gabriel isn't. Calm, focused, accountable, magnetic. And all that's left now is for the coaching staff to stop pretending this is a competition. Because the longer they delay it, the more they risk losing the one thing Shedeur can't bring back once it's gone. Momentum. So Browns fans, tell us in the comments, how many more snaps until Shedeur takes over for good? And don't forget to subscribe, because if this team doesn't make the switch soon, the fans just might do it for them. This isn't a quarterback competition anymore. It's a crisis of identity for the Browns. And at the heart of it is a fan base that's been patient, loyal, and burned way too many times. Let's unpack the next wave of the Shedeur Sanders versus Dillon Gabriel disaster. Because trust me, this drama is far from over. A franchise at crossroads. The Cleveland Browns are standing at a ledge. On one side, progress, change, momentum. A quarterback who represents a new generation, a new kind of leadership, and the kind of hope this city hasn't seen since. What? Bernie Kosar? On the other side, the same old safe decisions that have haunted this franchise for decades. Playing it cautious, pretending seniority is more important than spark. And right now, they're teetering in the worst place of all, indecision. Because every day Kevin Stfansky delays naming Shedeur Sanders a starter, he sends a message, not just to fans, but to the locker room. We don't believe in the guy you clearly believe in. You want to lose a fan base? That's how you do it. You want to fracture a team? That's how it begins. Dillon Gabriel is cracking under pressure. Let's talk about Dillon Gabriel. Not the guy we thought we'd get in preseason. The composed, high-efficiency game manager type. Nope. What we got instead, a player who's starting to spiral. Not just on the field, where every pass looks like it's dipped in second guessing, but off it, the energy, the attitude, the body language. It's all telling a story he's trying hard to silence, but can't. He knows he's losing. And the worst part? He's trying to play it cool, dropping lines and pressers, making vague remarks like that infamous entertainment jab, but it's transparent. The fans see it. The media sees it. His own teammates, they definitely see it. And when you feel a QB starting to lose confidence in himself, it's over. Because you can't fake command. You can't rehearse poise. And you can't talk your way into leadership. That's the real difference between Gabriel and Shedeur. Gabriel talks like he's still convincing himself he belongs. Shedeur? He walks like he's already won. Stfansky's dilemma, leadership or loyalty. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Kevin Stfansky didn't ask for this drama. He's not trying to turn training camp into a reality show. But now he has no choice. Because every practice rep Shedeur dominates, every awkward interview Gabriel gives, every fan that tweets #FreeShedeur, it all piles pressure on Stfansky to make a call. And right now he's stuck between two things. Loyalty to the original QB plan, which, let's be real, probably lean on Gabriel, or embracing the player who's winning over literally everyone else. And if he gets it wrong, he doesn't just risk a few bad games. He risks the entire locker room turning on him. Because football players, they're not blind. They know who's balling. They know who inspires confidence in the huddle. And they know when a coach is ignoring the obvious. It doesn't take long for that frustration to turn toxic. A city desperate for a star. Let's zoom out for a second. This is Cleveland. A city that wants to love its quarterback. A city that still buys into heart, grit, loyalty, and redemption. A city that would absolutely throw itself behind a QB who shows up. And right now, that's Shedeur. Every fan sees it. He's composed under pressure. He doesn't flinch when the media swarms. He makes plays. He uplifts the offense. He brings energy to every snap. But most of all, he looks like he cares. Not about headlines. Not about proving his doubters wrong. Not about shutting up other rookies. He cares about winning. He carries himself like a guy who understands what Cleveland has been through and wants to be the one who ends a curse. That's the QB fans will ride or die for, not the one who fumbled, got defensive, and played the victim. The Browns can't afford to wait. Here's the part that should have ownership panicking. If you don't hand this team over to Shedeur soon, you might lose him. And not just emotionally or psychologically. You could literally lose him. Because players like Shedeur, they don't stay quiet forever. They don't keep sitting behind guys they're clearly outplaying. And if Cleveland fumbles this opportunity, there are plenty of other teams in the league that would kill to develop their franchise around someone like him. Don't believe it? Look at how the Colts built around Anthony Richardson. Look at how Houston turned C.J. Stroud into a movement in under a year. Young, electric quarterbacks don't wait for permission anymore. They want action. And Shedeur's patience is a limited time offer. The media has turned. If you haven't noticed, the national media is circling. What started as a quiet quarterback battle has now turned into a full-on saga. Every panel show is covering it. Every podcast has a Shedeur take. Every beat reporter is slipping quotes into their columns. And every headline has the same question baked into it. What are the Browns doing? And when the media starts asking that, you know the public perception has already flipped. This isn't a competition anymore. It's a referendum on the front office, on Stfansky, on Gabriel, on how Cleveland handles opportunity when it shows up in a number 14 jersey. If Shedeur goes off in his first start, those same pundits will be waiting, ready to say, "I told you so." And if he doesn't, he's still got the kind of goodwill most players never reach, just from how he's carried himself through this whole ordeal. You cannot say the same for Gabriel. Final stretch. The fire is at the door. There's no more pretending this is about development or timing, or letting the process play out. The fans have spoken. The players have whispered. The media has roared. Shedeur Sanders is already the quarterback of this team in everything but title. And the longer Cleveland waits to make it official, the more fractured, bitter, and toxic the situation becomes. Because quarterback controversies don't stay quiet forever. They boil, they explode, and eventually, they burn everything down. So to Kevin Stfansky, Andrew Berry, and whoever else is dragging their feet in that facility, do it. Pull the trigger. Make the change. Let Shedeur lead. Because if you don't, you're not just risking a season. You're risking the best thing to happen to this franchise in years, walking away. Because while the quarterback room in Cleveland might look like a healthy competition on paper, this is a powder keg with the fuse already lit. And the moment Kevin Stfansky blinks, whether he sticks with Dillon Gabriel or finally unleashes Shedeur Sanders, there's no going back. Let's dive into the next 1,500 words of the unraveling storm that is the Browns' QB mess, and how this goes way beyond football, a fan base at its breaking point. Cleveland fans are not just emotional right now, they're exhausted. This team has burned them more times than a microwave without a turntable. Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson's mess, the never-ending carousel of temporary fixes and half-measure experiments. And now, Dillon Gabriel, a rookie who's already lost a locker room and the press with one bad fumble and one worse quote. So when Shedeur Sanders walks in, polished, composed, unshaken, it's like someone cracked a window in a stuffy room. He represents something this fan base hasn't had in forever, a future they can trust. Not a hype train, not a fluke, a real-deal quarterback with the skills and the character to carry a franchise. And if this coaching staff fumbles him the way they fumbled so many before, Cleveland might not just turn on the team. They'll turn on the entire organization. Sanders' value goes deeper than performance. Here's something nobody in the Browns front office seems to be calculating correctly. Shedeur Sanders is not just a quarterback. He's an asset, a cultural, financial, long-term investment asset. You've got a rookie QB who already has a fan base outside of Ohio, comes from a football family with built-in credibility and visibility, can win you games and win you headlines, has never once shown diva behavior despite having every reason to, is handling the pressure like a 10-year vet while still carrying himself like he has something to prove. That's rare. That's valuable. And it's not just about jersey sales or TikTok clips. It's about credibility. You give Shedeur the starting job, and instantly, the Browns aren't just a football team. They're a storyline. They matter. Every week becomes must-watch. You can't put a price tag on that kind of relevance, and Cleveland hasn't had it since LeBron left the second time. Gabriel can't outrun the narrative anymore. It's almost sad to watch in real time Dillon Gabriel trying to talk his way back into public favor, while Shedeur simply earns it with every rep. The fumble? Bad. But the post-game energy? Worse. And now that the spotlight's gotten hot, you can see the cracks forming. The media's pressing him harder. The locker room trust is wearing thin. Every practice becomes a referendum on whether he still belongs in conversation, and you can't fake that kind of pressure away. In today's NFL, once you lose a narrative, the playbook doesn't save you. And the fact that his own teammates aren't rushing to defend him, that says everything. QB competition is just a PR phrase now. Let's be honest. This competition has already been decided by everyone except the coaching staff. You watch a practice? Shedeur is sharper. You talk to the receivers? They light up when asked about his timing and control. You listen to the fans? They're chanting for him by name. You listen to the analysts? They're already discussing when, not if, he starts. The only ones pretending this is still a two-man race are the people trying to manage fallout, not performance. And the longer the Browns play this we're evaluating game, the more obvious it becomes that they're stalling. Not because Gabriel's better, but because they're afraid of looking wrong. But guess what? Every second you delay the inevitable only makes the final decision look more desperate. Just name the starter already. And let Shedeur show why everyone's been right about him from the beginning. The locker room has made its choice. Don't underestimate this. Football is about trust. And the players? They don't need a stat sheet to tell them who should be under center. They feel it. In the huddle. In the pace of practice. In how the offense clicks. In how the sideline responds. And if you think these guys haven't already made up their minds, you're kidding yourself. Quarterbacks earn the room before they ever earn the start. And Shedeur, he already owns a room. Veterans nod when he speaks. Younger players mimic his energy. Even the defensive unit steps up their tempo when he's the opposing QB at practice. That's not coincidence. That's presence. And you can't fake that. Gabriel tries, but Sanders has it. And now, the team's just waiting for the coaches to catch up to what they already know. This could be Stfansky's legacy moment. Kevin Stfansky has had an up-and-down ride in Cleveland. Some playoff hope, some setbacks, and a lot of quarterback chaos. But this decision might define him. Because if he gets it wrong, if he backs the wrong guy, waits too long, or drags out a public mess into the regular season, the damage won't just be to the win-loss column. It'll be to his legacy. He'll go down as the coach who couldn't recognize a generational talent sitting in his own facility, who couldn't manage a locker room that was begging for change, who lost the fans because he was too afraid to pull the trigger. Or he could be the guy who makes the bold call, the guy who listens to his players, his city, and the eye test, the guy who actually builds a team around a QB, instead of wasting another season trying to avoid conflict. That's the crossroads Stfansky is standing on right now. One path leads to history. The other? Just another Browns coach with an exit interview. Final thought. The future doesn't wait. We need to stop acting like Shedeur Sanders is getting there. He's there. The confidence? There. The poise? There. The support? There. The only thing missing is the official nod. And the longer Cleveland delays it, the more they risk turning one of the best things to happen to the franchise in years into yet another what could have been story. But the good news? They still have time. They can still make the right call. They can put their trust in the player who's earned it every day, not just by what he says, but by how he carries himself when the lights are off and the pressure is on. Because if there's one thing we've learned through all this drama, it's simple. You can't coach franchise energy. And Shedeur? He's got it in buckets. What do you think? Is it finally time for Shedeur to get the start? Or is the Browns front office still living in denial? Drop your take below and make sure to subscribe, because when this QB switch finally happens, you better believe the whole NFL is going to feel the impact. And Cleveland? They'll finally have the leader they've been waiting for.